Here's your General Hospital spoiler sneak peek video for Friday, November 21st, 2025. Laura's emotional high from winning re-election as mayor comes to a complete halt when she opens the trunk of her car and finds Professor Henry Dalton's corpse. Laura is not quite sure what to do, so she gets back in the passenger seat to think. That's when something else shocking occurs that leaves Laura even more of a mess than before. As mayor, she knows she has to contact the authorities right away. But how will this look, considering her incident with Dalton at the polls earlier that day? Is Sidwell trying to ruin Laura's next term as mayor before it even gets started? After watching Sidwell shoot Dalton dead right in front of her, Britt finally realizes the gravity of her situation. Pascal didn't make things easier on her when he warned her not to tell anyone what she'd really been up to. However, when Jason stops by to ask why she had a key to Dalton's lab, Britt is put on the spot and needs to think fast. Finally, she breaks down and considers telling Jason the truth, crying that she has to know he is worth risking her life for. Chase has been determined to save Willow and make sure she walks free because he is sure she would never shoot someone. When he presses Ezra Boyle for answers, he learns that Jacinda was with Boyle when Drew was shot. She was not with Michael all night as she claimed. Chase runs to Alexis with this information, thinking this is all they need. But Alexis also has another suspect to point a finger toward: Portia. Michael has no idea that his alibi is about to blow up. He is busy attending to family matters and giving Brooke Lynn advice about Gio and Dante. How will he feel when he learns that Jacinda lied to him? That could put a crimp in their fake romance. Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel, Messy Syrup. It's me, Abby, here. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Keep watching. So let's dive into today's video. General Hospital spoilers reveal that a new Windermere mystery will begin. This house of horrors will bring some strange clues and erupting chaos. So let's talk about what's in store now that Lucas Jones is making Windermere his home. In an interview with Saudi, Van Hansis talked about Lucas' perspective going into all this. Any concerns Lucas might have had about living under the same roof as Jen Sidwell will quickly become a thing of the past due to Sidwell's charm. I love that he's charming, and I can see how Lucas's suspicions about him are kind of erased because, here's this charming British dude offering him tea and crumpets and everything seems good, Hansis said. Thanks to Pascal and his speedy cleanup effort, Sidwell left no bloody Professor Henry Hank Dalton trail behind. It's clear that when it comes to his crimes, Sidwell wants to keep covering his tracks and convince Lucas everything is just peachy. Hansis confirmed that Lucas is in the dark on the depth of Sidwell's latest shady activities and even joked about Lucas thinking he was living in the Love Island mansion. Since Lucas is crazy about Marco Rios and wants this living arrangement to work, he's ignoring naysayers like Carly Spencer. Lucas would much rather focus on his feelings for Marco and the support he's getting from Ava Jerome instead. However, GH spoilers suggest Lucas may not be able to bury his head in the sand for much longer. It turns out this move-in decision will lead to some unsettling developments, so Hansis dropped a hint about what's brewing. Coming up, some weird stuff starts to happen, Hansis admitted. It sounds like Lucas will get thrown into a new Windermere mystery as this place indeed becomes the house of horrors we mentioned. Lucas is a smart guy when he wants to be, and may soon realize he's been digging a dangerous hole for himself. If Lucas sees or learns something he shouldn't, he'll become a problem for Sidwell. It's clear that regardless of how Marco feels about Lucas, Sidwell is willing to wipe his son's love interest off the map if need be. That's why when this weird stuff begins happening, it could lead Lucas straight into the danger zone. Lucas may explore off-limits Windermere wings and uncover things he has no business knowing as far as Sidwell is concerned. General Hospital spoilers say some mansion mayhem may be on the way and bring troubling news for Lucas. So we'll bring you updates on all the drama. Here are your General Hospital spoilers for Friday, November 21st, 2025. Britt is more terrified than ever, knowing that Pascal is back in her life, and Sidwell has no problem just shooting anyone dead if they cause any problems. She promised Pascal she would never tell anyone what they were up to, but Jason now has a clue. After hearing from Danny that he lifted the key fob for the lab from Britt's purse, Jason has questions, so he goes to Britt's room and starts asking. He knows she was involved with some sort of lab work in Croatia, so he realizes this has to be related. As Jason grills her, Britt becomes emotional and starts crying. Jason realizes just how scared she is as Britt tells him that she needs to be sure he is worth risking her life for. Will she finally cave and tell Jason everything? After his chat with Ezra Boyle at the Brown Dog, Chase now knows that Jacinda was with him the night Drew was shot and did not spend the entire night with Michael. Chase runs to Alexis's office with the news that Michael faked his alibi and he can prove it. Alexis knew Michael's alibi was flimsy, so now she has something to work with. Will she focus on Michael or still make Portia's life miserable? Two alternate suspects are better than one. Gio finds Sonny and confides in him regarding everything that has happened recently. He tells Sonny about wanting to help Rocco, but also how Dante came down hard on him. Sonny warns Gio that there are a lot of moving parts, and Gio has to be careful with what he does without getting his own self in trouble. Brooklyn is also not sure what to do about the Dante and Gio situation. At least her cousin Michael is there to hand out advice and try to play peacemaker. Will Michael have a solution for Brooklyn's months-long problem that just became infinitely more complicated? General Hospital spoilers hint that Jason Morgan may kiss Britt Westbourne in an emotional moment. Will Jason plead for Britt's trust and create a huge turning point for this pairing? Although Jason came through for Britt at the Five Poppies resort, she's been unwilling to truly let him in. Britt's been keeping her walls up and trying to protect herself along with Jason. This is partly about Britt feeling like she'll never come first for Jason, so she's shielding her heart. That said, there's obviously a deeper reason why Britt's been shutting down Jason's attempts to get closer. This is also about Britt's role in Cesar Faison's final project and the mess she was forced into. Britt woke up in Croatia and was expected to continue her father's work in exchange for these medication doses to keep her Huntington's disease at bay. Of course, this nightmare operation with Jens Sidwell and his secret partner is really taking a toll now. Following Professor Henry Hank Dalton's demise and Pascal's threats, GH fans saw a scared and broken version of Britt. Britt's emotions will pour out even more in the November 21st episode as Jason pushes her to make a full confession. Jason will point out that Danny Morgan said the stolen key fob belonged to Britt. Britt's link to Dalton and all the lab shadiness will leave Jason with even more questions than he had before. Although Britt will be reluctant to provide answers, Jason will keep pushing and hope he can tear these walls down. Britt will eventually let the tears flow as she shouts about needing to know Jason is worth risking her life. That'll tell Jason this is indeed a matter of life and death. Britt could be wiped off the map like Dalton if she spills too much, so Jason will be asking a lot of her when he pressures her for all the details. However, Jason will no doubt look at Britt with those honest eyes of his and swear that he'll protect her. Jason may realize Britt's in way over her head and promise that he can help if she'll let him. It's easy to imagine a kiss happening as this emotional moment plays out. Jason may pull Britt into a lip lock to prove their connection is strong and urge her to follow her heart. Britt's heart might tell her she can trust Jason enough to give him some honesty. Even if Britt doesn't share the whole ugly story, she could divulge most of it and help Jason understand the situation. This could serve as a turning point for Jason and Britt romantically, so maybe they could hit the sheets in the near future too. General Hospital spoilers say Britt has a chance to have someone in her corner if she'll blab to Jason, so stay tuned for updates on any news she'll deliver. General Hospital character Drew Kane has been making life miserable for Alexis Davis and anyone with her last name lately, swinging restraining orders around like he's trying to win a prize for most unnecessary drama. So when Gron dropped a little behind-the-scenes snack on social media, fans pounced on it like fresh oxygen. On Instagram, Gron wrote, "He's actually the nicest guy in the world. At Cameron Matheson at Jen Ray Ray, at General Hospital, Ashtamer GH." And she attached a quick, breezy hallway video where she and Jen Ray, who plays Alexis and Diane's assistant Suzanne, were chatting when Cameron Matheson walked by. What unfolded had the cadence of a bit they've probably played out 100 times. Cameron walked up with that easy grin and said, "Oh, there you guys are. Hey, I was gonna order some coffee and maybe a little bit of lunch, and I wanted to treat you." Gron jumped right in with, "Cool, great, thank you." And he followed with, "Just your regular orders?" Which got a quick, "Yeah, thanks," back from them. "I got you," he promised. "Thank you," they replied. He headed off down the hall, and the second he was out of view, the whole bit flipped into a playful roast. "He is so mean," Gron deadpanned. Ray added, "I mean, he didn't even want to go over lines with us." Gron piled on with, "He made me cry." And Ray shook her head and said, "And they cast him in Christmas movies." Gron capped it with, "But he is handsome," and the two of them exchanged hilarious, knowing glances. In the thread, Matheson responded himself, "So mean! Love you guys!" And Tanisha Harper chimed in with, "The sweetest!" But the fans arrived louder, funnier, and ready to separate actor from character. One fan wrote, "At Cameron Matheson, we love you, not Drew." At Dragonfly9964 added, "How can a nice guy like you even play a Drew LOL?" At Nina435 jumped in with, "At Cameron Matheson, man, I hate Drew. I fecking can't stand that guy. You play that part so well." Several echoed the same sentiment in different flavors, praising his acting, darkening the character, and reminding each other he's literally the nicest person off-screen. And tucked among the laughter, a few General Hospital fans simply said what everyone else was thinking. The bit was adorable, the timing was perfect, and yes, Cameron Matheson truly is that nice. Here is your General Hospital recap for Thursday, November 20th, 2025. After watching Sidwell shoot Dalton dead right in front of her face, Britt shouted, "You shot him! Why would you do that?" Sidwell shrugged and calmly said, "I took your advice and cut him loose." Britt rushed to check Sidwell's pulse and declared him dead. Sidwell called someone to clean up the mess as a dumbfounded Britt knelt by Dalton's body. "When I said send him away, I meant pay him off and let him leave, not shoot him in cold blood," she screamed. Sidwell told Britt she sealed Dalton's fate as soon as she ratted him out for trying to double-cross them. "Let this be a lesson. This is what happens when you betray me," he asserted. "This is what happens when you become more troubled than you're worth." As Britt tried to scrub the blood off her hands, she was stunned to see Pascal walk into the living room. "That lunatic strapped a bomb to my ankle and tried to kill me," Britt screamed. Pascal said it was nothing personal. Sidwell had Pascal escort Britt home. Britt refused to go with Pascal, but soon realized she had no choice. As for Sidwell, he decided that Dalton's body could be of some use. Back in her room, Pascal warned Britt that she had been given a second chance and would not be given a third. Britt tried to hold back tears as she promised to behave. When Pascal left, a hysterical Britt screamed into a pillow. Later, when she tried to inject her meds, her hand couldn't stop shaking. Lulu ran into Laura's office to congratulate her on her re-election. She also tried to tell her about Charlotte confessing, but Ezra Boyle barreled in and told Laura he was going to fight the results. "I know you think you won, but I'm not going to go down without a fight," he said, as we expected him to scream, "Rigged!" Any minute. An exasperated Laura told Boyle he lost, but he could try to be gracious about it. He couldn't imagine that the voters truly chose a woman who treated Professor Dalton like that. "The voters saw a woman standing up for her grandson," Lulu pointed out. Boyle didn't buy it. "The only reason that you're still mayor is because Sonny Corinthos bought the election for you," he accused. Laura and Lulu taunted Boyle some more until Laura kicked him out of her office. Once alone, Lulu told Laura about Alexis's and Rick's strategies. Laura was glad that Charlotte wanted to tell the truth, but Lulu was still nervous. Nonetheless, Charlotte and Danny would be turning themselves in tomorrow. "I hope that bastard gets what he deserves for trumping up those charges against Rocco," an angry Laura said of Dalton. Later, as she drove home, Laura left a message for Kevin, who was in Ireland. Suddenly, she felt like she had a flat tire. She got out of the car to find a nail in her tire. When she opened the trunk to get her spare, she found Dalton's dead body under a blanket. When Alexis walked into her office, she was surprised to see Willow there. Willow told Alexis that she was ready to take a more active role in her defense. Alexis told Willow she'd be better off doing nothing. Willow argued that her freedom was on the line. Alexis warned Willow that she needed to stay away from Michael and the kids. "I already screwed up the last part," Willow said before telling Alexis about the incident at the Metro Court Gardens. Alexis told Willow that the best thing she could do for her defense was to tell her where she was when Drew was shot. Willow admitted she panicked when Nina gave the police an alibi for both of them and just went along with it. Willow told Alexis that she was working the night Drew was shot. She had just learned of Judge Heron's death and decided to go for a walk. Since it was raining, she sat in her car, looking at pics of her kids on her phone while crying. She then drove aimlessly until she pulled herself together and went back to work. Nina walked into the Brown Dog to meet with Chase. He asked to learn more about her new assistant. Chase brought up the ketamine incident, so Nina decided she needed a lawyer and tried to leave. Chase explained he was off duty and just trying to help Willow by poking holes in Michael's alibi. Nina then started talking. "I can tell you this. The only reason I hired Jacinda as my assistant in the first place is because Michael forced me to," Nina admitted. She explained how she knew Jacinda would be the perfect person to set up Drew after seeing her with Ezra Boyle. Immediately, Chase thought he had his answer. Before she left, Nina thanked Chase for helping Willow. She also admitted she made things much worse by giving Willow a false alibi. After Nina was gone, Boyle walked into the Brown Dog and was just the man that Chase was looking for. He approached Boyle and talked him up by complaining about Laura and saying he voted for him. Jacinda and Michael dined at the Metro Court once again. Sonny approached the table and said, "Aren't you going to introduce me to your friend?" Michael did just that. "He speaks highly of you," Sonny told Jacinda. Talk then turned to the election and how pleased they were that Laura had won. However, the Measure C results were still too close to call. "But wouldn't it be nice to get 2 miracles in one night?" Sonny mused. When Sonny walked away, Jacinda got serious. "Playing the role of your girlfriend has been pretty easy. Sometimes I forget that it's all just pretend," she said. "Is it me, or is this fake relationship starting to get pretty serious?" Jacinda asked. Michael quickly changed the subject and asked if Jacinda was enjoying her new job. She indeed was. She even thought she was earning Nina's respect. "But it wouldn't have happened if you hadn't given me the opportunity," Jacinda said. Just then, Boyle walked in and asked why Jacinda wasn't returning his phone calls. "I get this guy is rolling in it, but whatever he's offering you, I will double it," Boyle offered. Jacinda told Boyle that Michael wasn't paying her. Michael stood up and threatened to throw Boyle out. After Boyle left, Michael got a surprising text. Marco and Ava sat at another table waiting for Lucas to arrive. Ava warned Marco not to break his heart. "If that were to happen, you and I would have a serious problem," she said. Marco promised he would do everything in his power to make Lucas happy. In the elevator, Lucas told Carly that he would be dining with Marco and Ava. "But if that's going to be an issue for you, maybe I ought to leave," he said. Carly told Lucas he didn't have to leave and apologized for the things she said the other day. Lucas was still angry. "Marco's a part of my life now, and if you can't get on board, then you're the one I'm going to have to cut out," he said. Carly was shocked as Lucas got off the elevator and sat down with Sonny. He pointed out Michael and Jacinda at a table across the dining room. Carly didn't seem to care and was much more concerned with Lucas. Carly was not pleased that Sonny thought Lucas should be free to do what he wanted. He also didn't think Carly had a leg to stand on because she was still close to him. Sonny knew that any relationship to him came with dangers, and not just life or death ones. The subject then turned to Rocco and the kids. Carly was shocked to hear that Sonny hired Rick to be Rocco's lawyer. Sonny assured Carly that his eyes were open about Rick. "But people can change, some for the better, some for the worse," Sonny said. Carly knew he was talking about Michael. "Michael has been through hell and back, and that changes you. Based on the conversations that I've had with him, I'm not exactly sure that he didn't shoot Drew and frame Willow," Sonny whispered. Carly refused to entertain such a thought, but Sonny thought that Michael had already gone a little too far trying to keep the kids from Willow. "Willow's made a lot of mistakes, but does she have to hang for something she didn't do?" Sonny pondered. After Sunny walked over to Michael's table, Carly got a text from Jack that she didn't want to answer. As for Sunny, he was thrilled when Michael told him that he was going to keep his peers. As for Lucas, he sat down with Marco and Ava, but they soon left for Windermere. Nina then joined Ava and confessed that she had thrown someone under the bus, but there might be another way to ruin Michael's alibi. General Hospital spoilers for Friday, November 21st reveal that Nathan West will dig for the Professor Henry Hank Dalton truth, while Britt Westbourne cries to Jason Morgan and Sonny Corinthos offers some advice. First, on Friday's GH episode, Harrison Chase will spill some proof to Alexis Davis regarding Michael Corinthos' false alibi. Thanks to Chase's enlightening conversation with Ezra Boyle, he'll insist Michael is lying and that Ezra was actually the one with Jacinda Bracken at the time of the shooting. After Chase presumably gets Ezra to confirm that, he may score some security footage or other evidence to back Ezra's story up. Regardless, Chase will give Alexis Davis updates and hope this is good news for Willow Tate's case. In the meantime, Michael will hope for peace between Giovanni Gio Palmieri and his bio parents. Despite all the Rocco Falconeri drama, Michael will think there's a chance for Gio, Brooklyn Quartermain, and Dante Falconeri to come together as a family. Michael will share an example of how Carly Spencer helped him in the past, so Brooklyn will wonder if he thinks she could do the same in her situation with Gio. As for Sonny, he'll serve as Gio's confidant on Friday and offer some good advice. Sonny will think there are pieces that Gio isn't considering here, so he may help Gio understand Dante's angry perspective a bit better. Regardless, Sonny will be rooting for Gio and Dante to build a true father-son bond. This Rocco ordeal brought a setback, but Sonny will still have hope for the future. Over with Marco Rios, he'll make a significant choice regarding his future. Will that choice pull Marco deeper into Jen Sidwell's web, or pull him away from it instead? Once Jason makes his way to Britt's room above Bobby's, he'll push for answers about the key fob, and will see that she's visibly rattled. Jason will reiterate that no matter what Britt's tangled up in, she can tell him about it. A tearful Britt will insist she needs to know that Jason is worth risking her life. The stakes could be fatal if Britt goes against Sidwell's warning and blabs about the project she's working on. Will Britt finally tell Jason the whole truth and trust that he'll have her back? As for Laura, she'll be an emotional wreck now that she's found Dalton's body in her trunk. Laura will get back in her car until Nathan arrives at the scene and knocks on her window, which will startle her since she's understandably jumpy. Laura will tell Nathan about the nail in her tire and how she went looking for the flares in her trunk. That's where Laura found Dalton's corpse, so Nathan will insist he believes her and start digging for answers on what really happened to the professor. General Hospital spoilers say Nathan will launch an investigation soon, so stay tuned. General Hospital spoilers update for Friday, November 21st reveals that Laura Collins will have a corpse story for the cops, while Harrison Chase exposes lying Michael Corinthos. Jason Morgan will also make a demand and get a surprising reaction, so let's discuss all the escalating drama in Port Charles. Now that Laura has discovered Professor Henry Hank Dalton's body in her trunk, she'll have some explaining to do. Whether Laura calls the police or Nathan West just happens to be in the area, she'll be sitting in her car when he arrives. Laura will jump when Nathan taps on her window, so that'll be a good indicator of how rattled she is. Nathan will get updates on the whole corpse story from Laura, who'll obviously deny having anything to do with Dalton's demise. As for Jason, he'll knock on Britt Westbourne's door and launch an interrogation. Jason will demand the truth about the project Britt's working on and whatever mess she's caught up in since Danny Morgan admitted the key fob came from her. Britt will be an emotional wreck as she points out how much is at stake for her. If Britt's going to come clean, she'll want to confirm Jason's loyalty since she'll be risking her life for this. Over with Sonny Corinthos, he'll listen to Giovanni Gio Palmieri's troubles and offer a new point of view. Gio is struggling after the way things went down with Dante Falconeri, but Sonny will help him cope. Thanks to Sonny's guidance, Gio may walk away from this conversation with some hope when it comes to repairing the family damage. Brooklyn Quartermain will turn to Michael for a pep talk as well, so he'll be happy to give her one at GH. After Michael reflects on some memory related to Carly Spencer, He'll predict that Brooke Lynn can use a similar strategy and ultimately make progress with Gio. This is one of those situations that's just going to take time, especially since Dante still needs to cool off over Rocco Falconeri's legal drama. Dante blames Gio, but Michael may think Brooke Lynn could be the one to bring everyone together in the end. Once Chase pries information out of Ezra Boyle, he'll head to Alexis Davis' office with a big announcement to make. With a smug expression on his face, Chair will declare that Michael gave the police a false alibi and will add that he can prove it. Alexis will be all ears as Chase reveals proof that Jacinda Bracken was with Ezra the night of Drew Kane's shooting. That obviously goes against Michael's story that he was with Jacinda all evening until Brooke Lynn called about Wiley Corinthos' nightmare. Finally, Marco Rios will have a significant choice to make. If Marco realizes Jen Sidwell killed Dalton and had his body stuffed in Laura's trunk, he may have to decide if he can still support his twisted dad. General Hospital spoilers say Marco will have some troubling news on his mind, so don't miss his important decision. General Hospital spoilers reveal that there are at least 3 characters who need a new storyline. These fierce women deserve more than the material they're getting right now, so let's talk about how GH writers could shake things up for them. For starters, there's Elizabeth Liz Baldwin, who pretty much exists to clash with Britt Westbourne occasionally and offer Lucas Jones or Portia Robinson advice. Liz has become a character who primarily serves as a confidant, so she doesn't have a story of her own at the moment. Plenty of fans would like to see Rebecca Herbst get a chance to shine with some fresh material. Whether she gets a new romance or lands in some dramatic situation, it'd be nice to see Elizabeth do more than just work at GH and chat with coworkers. Trina Robinson is another character who could use better material than she's been receiving lately. Although Trina is involved in the Drew Kane whodunit story through the secret she's keeping with Kai Taylor, the show isn't doing much with that layer of drama. Instead, the focus is on Trina obsessing over keeping her parents together. Trina is an adult who needs to let Portia and Curtis Ashford make their own decisions, but she's making it her mission to keep their marriage intact and stand against Jordan Ashford. It just seems like a waste of airtime for Trina to be doing all this when she could have a real story of her own. Now that Christina Corinthos Davis has wrapped up her role in the Rick Lansing kidnapping saga, what's next for her? Christina hasn't had a romance since Blaze, aka Allison Allie Rogers, left town, so maybe it's time for her to get one. Due to the fire at Charlie's pub, Christina faced a career setback too. Perhaps there's another opportunity for a reset and a new passion to pursue. Whatever the case, Christina could use a fresh direction to head in, so we'll bring you updates on any story-related news ahead for her. General Hospital spoilers say some shockers and shakeups are still to come in Port Charles, so let's hope these 3 characters get some juicy material soon. Kate Mansi steps into the director's chair for the first time on GH, facing big nerves and a milestone she's worked years to reach. Kate Mansi made her directorial debut on General Hospital. She directed the episode that it aired on Tuesday, November 18th, 2025. While she received support from her GH co-stars, she was apprehensive about directing Laura Wright. Mansi first explored directing during her time on Days of Our Lives, when she played Abigail Devereaux. In an interview with TV Insider, Mansi explained how her journey started. "I had a storyline with Ali Sweeney and James Scott, and I had been working with Ali quite a bit. We became good friends, and she started to observe the directors," Mansi recalled. "I watched her go through that process, and then she directed her first episode that I was actually in." Allison Sweeney evolved into her directorial role, which inspired Mansi to do the same. Sweeney's directorial debut inspired Mansi to embark on her own journey, which included shadowing directors at Days. Her interest in directing continued at GH. When Mansi joined the cast in 2023, executive producer Frank Valentini allowed her to shadow him. Mansi made it clear that it was one of her passions, and "I spent the last year really working on shadowing as much as I possibly could." In September, Valentini informed Mansi that she was ready to direct her own episode, but there was one co-star she didn't want to work with. "And I was scared shitless, but I said to him, 'Okay, I think I'm ready too, but please, the only person I don't want to direct is Laura Wright, Carly Spencer.'" The idea intimidated Mansi. She also had to direct Jeannie Francis, Maurice Bernard, and Steve Burton. No sweat. Manzi had a mini freakout before reporting to work. She immediately received support from her co-stars, especially Francis, who hugged her and told her there's a need for more female directors in the entertainment industry. Now that she has her first episode behind her, Manzi is ready to take on more. She got over the first day jitters. Frank mentored me through his experience, and I could not be more grateful for his generosity of time and belief in me, Manzi said. He gave me the most rewarding experience thus far in my professional career in trusting me with this opportunity. The police may not even realize that Dalton was killed. There were signs that Sidwell would kill Dalton on General Hospital, but it was a bit of a surprise that he shot him in his living room in front of Britt. What happens next? It was a shame to lose Daniel Goddard, but Dalton's time was up. We didn't learn much about the character, and what little we saw wasn't good. The professor had few redeeming qualities. The last straw was having Rocco thrown in a juvenile detention facility. Britt wanted him gone, and Sidwell had no more use for him, so he shot the drunk professor and will probably dispose of the body. It could take a very long time before anyone realizes he's dead, if they do at all. The PCPD has dropped the ball on a few murder investigations in recent years. Sonny went unpunished for shooting Jagger. The police barely looked into Austin's murder, and Cyrus's killing was just buried. Dalton's death may suffer the same fate. Sidwell will make it look like there was no murder, and Britt will go along with it so that he keeps providing her medication. Plus, Vaughn requested that the professor visit a WSB headquarters for an interview. When he doesn't show, it will appear as if he just ran. There may not even be an investigation. Rocco is behind bars, and Danny and Charlotte are confessing to help save him. Not only that, the two teens decided to lie and say that Dalton hurt their brother. Now that the prosecution's witness is missing, will the charges be dropped? One would think that would be the case, but knowing Drew, he will take this opportunity to punish Danny. He has some strange vendetta against a teenager and will do what he can to throw him in jail. Hopefully, all the powerful people in Port Charles who love Danny will come to his rescue. GH fans are reaching their breaking point as the Who Shot Drew mystery drags on, but a long-awaited reveal may finally be on the horizon. General Hospital fans are exhausted. Evil Drew has done a lot of damage, and now they want an end to the Who Shot Drew mystery. Drew was shot on September 2nd, 2025. We are closing in on 3 months in December, and the PCPD still doesn't know who did it. They arrested Willow, but there is a very good chance that she is not the culprit. Too many other suspects had motive and means to know if Willow is guilty. One of the issues with this storyline is that fans have seen Drew terrorize most of Port Charles. The man's villainous tendencies get worse every day. Viewers cheered when he was shot and hoped for the character's death. They are on the side of the shooter and not the victim. There was hope that Drew would wake up a changed man, but that did not happen. Instead, the congressman spends his days going door to door, threatening PC's citizens. Anybody could have shot him. Some recent fan comments on the story are, "At this point, who really cares? Just get it over with. Enough is enough. Please get on with something else. Past caring. Don't really care who it is. It's boring. End this storyline already." Drew falling for Willow was juicy for a while, but now he's become too villainous. We can only hope he gets hit on the head and returns to his own self, or someone else entirely. Stranger things have happened on soaps. The end may be near, however. GH's social media account on X dropped a video featuring the major players in the Who Shot Drew story participating in a game of telephone. They each passed the phone on to someone who had a viable motive for shooting Drew. The video ended with Matheson saying, "Stay tuned to General Hospital to find out who shot Drew. There is a new and improved Rick in Port Charles." General Hospital's Rick is a complicated man. He is sometimes quite evil, but he has a good side. Has the angel on one shoulder finally overpowered the devil on the other? Rick has always been jealous of his half-brother Sonny, whom he didn't meet until adulthood. This caused a huge rift between the two and fueled many of Rick's dirty deeds. The attorney has done some terrible things, But locking a pregnant Carly in a panic room with plans to steal her child was probably the worst. He has lied, cheated, blackmailed, hurt, framed, and stolen from numerous residents of Port Charles. The attorney also has a good side. He truly loved Elizabeth, and still does. Rick may have a terrible way of showing it, but he goes to bat for those he cares about, and he is a fantastic lawyer. Molly's dad adores her. He may have been absent for too long, but there is nothing he wouldn't do for his daughter now that he's back. Rick's problem has always been that just as he is doing good, he will quickly turn around and do something horrible. Alexis, Christina, and Ava kidnapped Rick and held him prisoner for weeks. They tied him to a cot in a basement with a ball gag in his mouth. When he was finally set free, he seemed different. Perhaps he had some time to reflect on his life choices. Now the attorney is trying to make amends with his brother. He requested to represent Sonny in some legal matters, so the mob boss asked him to help his grandson, Rocco. So far, the poor kid is in a juvenile detention center, but Rick seems to be doing whatever he can to help him out. He is even working with his ex, Alexis, and is trying to make peace with her as well. Rick seems to have turned over a new leaf. It would be great if the brothers worked together instead of against each other. If he keeps this up, he may even win back Elizabeth. Then again, this is Rick. Neeks? So he may be up to something. But what? General Hospital reveals Mayor Laura Collins horrified because she's got a very, very dead Professor Hank Dalton in her trunk. And things are about to take a horrible turn for the newly re-elected mayor. So, will a murder accusation against Laura turn over the election results? We're going to talk about why Jen Sidwell is setting Laura up to take the fall for Dalton's murder and what comes next. All right, so we recently saw Laura go off on Professor Dalton for framing her grandson Rocco Falsaroni for supposedly trashing Dalton's lab at PCU. Now poor Rocco is sitting in juvie, terrified and facing serious felony charges. Of course, Laura knows Rocco is innocent and that Dalton is a slimeball. When he provoked Laura at the polling station on Election Day, if you remember, she screamed at Dalton. Laura called him a liar and promised that he wouldn't get away with this. Then Laura even slapped Dalton in the face. He didn't touch her. And she got physical with him. I mean, it was glorious. And voters seemed to like that she was standing up for her grandson. But unfortunately, Laura slapping him was assault. And she made threats against Dalton twice in public. And now, all of a sudden, his corpse is in her trunk on General Hospital. Of course, we all know that Sidwell is the one who put a bullet through his heart, killing Dalton in cold blood right there in his living room because he put the research that he, Britt Westbourne, Sidwell, and the mystery boss are working on at risk. Dalton's bad temper got them on the radar of the PCPD and the DUSB. The good thing is they haven't tied Dalton, in one way to Britt and to Sidwell. So, yes, Britt Westbourne is the one and only witness to Sidwell slaying Dalton. But she's terrified, so she is not going to talk. It's not just that Sidwell told her, "This is how I deal with people who betray me." He also reminded Britt she relies on him and the mystery boss for her Huntington's medication. So, she's very scared of what horrible things would happen to her health without that miracle drug. I do suspect we're going to see Laura in the hot seat because she just publicly threatened Dalton. By the end of this week, she's in her car, terrified, freaking out that there's a corpse in there with her spare tire. And Laura screams again on Friday when Nathan West approaches her car. I guess she doesn't see him there. The threats were bad enough if Dalton had turned up dead anywhere. I think Laura would have been a suspect. But with Dalton's body shoved in the trunk of her car, there seems little doubt the PCPD will have to investigate and possibly arrest Laura. Akij, next week. Of course, we only have 3 episodes next week because of Thanksgiving. So, Laura may not be in handcuffs for a whole another week, but it seems likely it's going to happen. At the same time that it seems likely she'll be arrested, it also seems quite unlikely that the mayor would shoot Dalton. But she did make threats, and she vowed to protect Rocco at all costs. And of course, Laura's a tough cookie, and it wouldn't be the first time she handled a gun. It wouldn't be the first time she killed somebody. So, she's not an angel. But there's also the fact that Laura was just re-elected as mayor, and she beat creepy Ezra Boyle, and we know she has a lot to lose. Another reason that Laura wouldn't be reckless and just go around shooting some guy no matter what he did to Rocco. However, if the evidence points to Laura, that's what matters. And of course, Sidwell knows that. That's why he told Britt that now-dead Dalton could still be useful to their cause, because Laura's been getting in the way of what Sidwell wants, which is to get Sonny Corinthos out of the way and to take control of the piers. And Laura refused eminent domain. Then they did Measure C, and that didn't go the way Sidwell wanted. But if he can get Laura sent to prison, then it seems like Ezra would probably be mayor. And we know he would do exactly what Sidwell told him to do because he is corrupt. Plus, we know that Sidwell has the murder weapon since he used it. So, he might have planted that with Dalton's corpse in Laura's car, or maybe in her office or her home. I mean, this is definitely kind of a two birds, one stone thing for Sidwell. He got rid of Dalton, who was a problem. And he may also get Laura out of the way. And she's also a problem because she would always be Sonny's ally at City Hall. Plus, in a kind of a three birds, one stone thing, Sidwell accomplished a third thing by killing Dalton. He scared the teetotal crap out of Britt because she has toned down the sass, and she's going to work harder in the lab to get the results from her father, Cesar Faison's research. Even a badass like Britt is now afraid for her life because she knows Sidwell will not hesitate to kill her. She was already scared once she saw that he had brought Pascal to Port Charles because the guy strapped a bomb to her ankle in Croatia. And you know, if Pascal had his way, Britt would already be dead in pieces. So, she's terrified, and rightfully so. And Sidwell is evil, but he's also extremely smart, and he seems to always be 2 steps ahead. So, I'm not at all surprised that he would take this opportunity to get rid of Dalton, who is a serious liability, and also get Laura out of the way. At the end of this week, Nathan is talking to Laura, who is distraught and sobbing, and he's at her car window at the side of the road. So, either Laura calls 911 to report she found a body in her trunk, or Nathan just happens to be driving by and sees her pulled over. Either way, the cops are there, and it should be easy to see that Laura is being framed. But the PCPD doesn't do a great job at actually solving crimes, first of all, and they really have no other suspects. They generally always go for the easy one, like with the Willow Tate thing and Drew Kane Quartermain shooting. Bottom line, Rocco is in juvie, and the other kids that conspired to do the break-in, Danny Morgan, Charlotte Cassadine, Gio Palmieri, and Emma Scorpio Drake, all have alibis for when Dalton was killed. So, even though it seems unlikely that Laura would kill Dalton, if that's where the evidence points, plus with Laura assaulting Dalton and making threats, we could see Dante Falconeri forced to arrest Laura, which would be ironic since Dante was just appointed acting police commissioner by his ex-mother-in-law, the mayor. So, DA Justine Turner obviously would charge Laura with murder if the evidence warrants it. And then that means for her that beating Ezra in the election might be the last good thing to happen to Laura for a while. If she is facing arrest and jail time, I would expect Ezra and Drew to get to work overturning the election so that Ezra can take her place as mayor, which would put everything falling perfectly into place for Sidwell and starting a real nightmare for poor Laura. And of course, this is bad news for Sonny too. It would be kind of funny if Laura has to step down as mayor because of Dalton's murder, and then Ezra is appointed mayor. But then he's forced to step down because Harrison Chase is about to figure out that Jacinda Bracken, the ex-prostitute, was doing sexy stuff with Ezra for money the night that Drew was shot, and Jacinda lied to give Meech A.L. Corinthos an alibi. So we could have 2 disgraced mayors in the coming weeks. We'll see what happens. Things are not looking good for Laura, and she could lose everything. Obviously, the mayor's friends and family will stand by her. Lulu Spencer, Rocco, Sonny, Jordan Ashford, Curtis Ashford, all of them. And she's got lots of people in her corner, but none of that will matter if Sidwell did a really good job framing her for Dalton's death. Dalton's death ended a very lackluster run for Daniel Goddard on GH. Daniel Goddard has exited General Hospital after a 7-month stint on the ABC soap that did not do him justice at all. Last spring, we were thrilled to have Goddard join GH as Henry Dalton. Not only did we love Goddard on The Young and the Restless, but Professor Dalton was a mystery and creepy all at the same time. However, it didn't take long to realize something was amiss with the professor, and we aren't talking about his storyline. Dalton was rarely seen on the show, except at the Metro Court pool a few times, and when Jocelyn and Emma faked being his assistant for their own gain. The fact that a new character was MIA for so long didn't bode well for Goddard and was a waste of time. GH fans didn't really get to know Dalton until he got drunk and spilled some of his dirty little secrets to Jocelyn. It seems like Goddard was brought in to play a character that was going to be a pivotal player in a storyline involving Sidwell and his quest to continue Faison's final project. Suddenly, though, Britt was in the mix, and Dalton wasn't as much of a key player. Goddard proved in his final episode that there were layers to Dalton that could have added to the storyline, but that didn't happen. Instead, Dalton was killed, ending an arc that honestly left us more confused than anything. Granted, GH fans did learn that Dalton was testing on animals. Even that, though, was lackluster, considering how it unfolded. For whatever reason, it appears like GH changed course with Dalton and Goddard, and it's a shame. The actor was a gem, and perhaps could have been back on Y&R as Kane if GH hadn't snagged him first. Just out 2 cents. GH fans used social media to speak out after Dalton died, and it was confirmed Goddard was done at the ABC soap. R.I.P. Professor Dalton. Such a waste of a character. All he did was bully teenagers the whole time, crescendoing and pointlessly framing Rocco, which resulted in being unalived by Sidwell. I'm guessing that wasn't what Daniel Goddard signed up for, but it was a memorable exit, wrote a fan on X. Another fan on X declared, "Can any fellow GH viewers with some insider or BTS info explain to me if they changed his character's story and plot points from what they were? It seems like they hired this name, the leading man, for a role that would eventually expand, but he virtually had almost no lines his entire run. That man should be on Y&R. IDK why GH wasted his time like that," insisted a different fan on X. One fan said, "Sad Daniel Goddard's run on GH has come to an end. A lot more story could have been told with Dalton General Hospital.